My friends, we are gathered here today to bear tribute to your lives, of how the example of the word pathetic is the example of yourself. Just gaze in the mirror and realize that your sins will lead to the fire below. When I take that shovel and crack you in the skull, the blood just comes rushing out. Whatever brains you have inside that thick skull of yours will be exposed. Realize the smile on my face is genuine, and you will bleed out and you will scream out.
Hello, this is Damien Reaper from Damien Reaper Scream Out, and I would like to introduce to you
Jim Millspaugh,
Jason Henry,
Rebecca Minges,
otherwise known as Gypsy King,
Dan Leopold,
Kris Sheeley,
Wendy Ferris,
Zach Foster,
Kirby Hilyard.
and Wendy Smith, who's indisposed at the moment.
Alright, this will be a round table discussion of the group called
MAUL, the Mobile Actors United Legion.
Alright, and I'll start with Jim and go all the way around with each question. Starting off, what got you into the haunt acting?
What got me into haunt acting?
Yes.
Ever since the age of 4, I've loved scaring people. I started scaring my late mother at 4 years old. Every opportunity I had, I was popping out from behind a corner or just sneaking up behind Mom, anything to get a scare out of her. Mom was incredibly easy to scare. So that's really what got me started, as I got a little bit older and I got into the costumes. And I remember the first costume I ever made myself, I was Gene Simmons from Kiss. I made it out of, it was a gray sweater, and I used garbage bags to make the bat wings in his costume, and I used zinc oxide for the clown white. And it was just, it was fun. I've always loved dressing up and being somebody different for a little while. And throughout the years, I'd put on little home haunts around my house and scared the neighborhood kids. And I did that for a while, did a Rocky Horror Picture Show for approximately 11 years. That's where I actually met my partner, my wife, Kris. We lost touch and got back together just recently. Moving on, after I moved up to Ohio, I went to work at Kings Island, and it was like, you know what? I get to scare people and I get paid for it. I mean, how much better does it get than that,
Right.
So I stayed there for a couple of years. Decided to move on. I went to the Dent Schoolhouse, where I was a fixture there for 4 years. In that time, I've created an actor training business, which it's starting to gain some steam, and I've taught quite a few actors, and everybody's been pleased with the results. This year, I decided not to go back to Dent because I'd had plans, and my ultimate plan is to open my own haunt, and believe me, that plan is still on the back burner. It has not gone anyplace. It's just getting the time, the money, and the venue. But I wanted to do something outside of what I did at Dent, where I was in charge of everything, and several people approached me, actually, and said, well, hey, Jim, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this now? I was looking at a couple years down the road that I was going to break away and start doing this, but things happen and plans get accelerated, and here we are today. The Mobile Actors United Legion is 11 members strong. and it's a great group of core actors. Every one of the actors is a veteran actor in some way, shape, or form, and we've got people, we've got physical actors, we've got sideshow people, we've got great makeup artists, we've got people that work in the Halloween business, we've got somebody that runs a Spirit Halloween. So we've just got this whole group of people that it's not so much that we want to make a lot of money, we just want to go out and have fun scaring people. So that's how I got started and where I am today.
Okay. Jason?
Actually, I've always been in the business of entertaining people. I'm actually a caterer, so that's actually part of my job. It's just a different way of entertaining. As far as the haunt business, I've actually only been in it for 4 years now. But I've always had a desire to entertain in a more physical way. I've always wanted to wear costumes, and I begged the zoo several times to let me dress up in one of their costumes, entertain the kids. It was something I've been interested in, and I never had really had the opportunity to do that. By a chance, I happened to be, because I live actually close to the Dent Schoolhouse, happened to drive by and happened to see a sign that they were hiring actors. So I tried that actually 2 times for 2 different years. In both years, I had just missed the mark. And then finally, I believe it was either 3 or 4 years ago, was when my first year was. And I had spoken to one of the people there at the schoolhouse and had gotten on there and had really fallen in love with it. Took me about a week to really get into it, getting the ball rolling, getting the mindset. But once I got that first scare, I was pretty much hooked, and I loved it. I've since moved on from there. I kind of wanted to get my feet wet and kind of branch out and go out into the world, which is why Jim and I have created MAUL, so we can experience other places and kind of move on and kind of grow with what we've learned, and it's just a good experience. And so that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Kris?
I got my start way back when. Don't y'all comment on my age. I've been doing this for close to 30 years now, I guess. Started with, like Jim said, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and moved up to the JC's in the area I lived in. We had a haunted forest, and I was their makeup artist / costume designer / 8-foot-tall ogre. And just I fell in love with it early on, and getting reactions out of people is something I live for. Now that I've had all this practice and I'm with a great group of friends, it's really gone above anything I ever expected, being able to act and get responses out of people and scare people and get paid to do it. I mean, how many people out there can actually say, I get paid to do what I love? Hopefully I would be able to go into the Spirit Halloween business with our other friend Wendy here. I'm trying to do that and move out into my own makeup genre, and hopefully maybe do some good with it.
Wendy?
I guess I'd have to say it started with my mother. She was very, very into Halloween, and she made it fun the whole time I was growing up. We always went all out on costumes, never anything store-bought, but of course, way back then, and I'm not going to give away my age either, we didn't have stores like Spirit or Halloween Express, so they had to be all handmade, but we would start months ahead of time getting them ready, and there was always something off the wall. I do remember one year I was Snoopy and my brother was the Red Baron, and it was just always something cute and fun and for the whole family. As I got older, more and more crazy ideas, and we started getting more friends involved. We would do group things, and that's how we started doing Rocky Horror. And we would go every weekend in costume down to the theater. Once I got into college, I was lucky to be at a college who hosted at least 3 or 4 masquerade parties a year. All summer long, we would all spend time working on our costumes for these parties. There were everything from, we had our regular Halloween party to Sid Vicious night, where we would all get in crazy, crazy ideas and crazy costumes, but it made it so much more fun. After that, I was involved for a time with a couple of Captain Jack Sparrow lookalikes and did some work there, and very got much into the pirate scene. So I've been enjoying getting costumes for that, attending Renaissance fairs and things like that. And then Spirit came along, and I was involved in that for 3 or 4 years doing assistant management, and then I became manager, and that's how I met Jim and Kris. at the time, and they were working at Dent at the time, and they helped our store by bringing in a bunch of actors for a weekend and helped the store prosper. And so hopefully this year I'll also be running Spirit, but now I'm part of the group, and I'm hoping to do a lot bigger and better things with all of them.
Zach.
I guess my beginnings sort of started out very much, I guess, kind of hand in hand with my mother. I've always enjoyed scaring the crap out of people, but mostly it was being a rebellious child that did things to my mother and family that they don't like to have done, which obviously was, scaring them was one of them. So there's, started out very similarly. There's a lot of Halloweens that were always happening, where after I got matured enough to stop trick-or-treating, I decided to start, trying my hand at scaring people, and made some makeshift little scenes at the candy bowl, so to speak, and scared a lot of little kids, which got me in trouble with some people in the neighborhood. So, got my start professionally, I guess you could say, through Dent, through another mutual friend of all of ours here, about 3 years ago. Did it specifically because I loved it. Things happened and, sort of grew apart and started out, and obviously this is where through Dent, which is where I met Kris and Jim. So since then, it's all about passion for me. I enjoy scaring the heck out of people. It's a heck of an adrenaline rush. So, and similar to how they were, if anything you can do and make money at, whichever you enjoy, of course, it's just a big bonus. So, I guess, so to speak, been doing it, I'd say, a good 15 years, but professionally about 3, and I'm ready to take it to the next level.
Wendy?
Oh, well, I started off actually with my uncle at the Haunted House on the Hill when it was still around many, many, many years ago. And then I was at the Haunted House in the Woods as a teenager and got involved with makeup. That's my main focal point. Is I don't really do any acting. I do a lot of makeup. I have acted. I do build scenery. I do props. I do character development and costume development. For the past 8 years, I have worked out at St. Rita Haunted House, which is a charity haunt in Evendale, Ohio, for the School for the Deaf for those kids. And I've had my own home haunt for about 10 years that I run out here, only on Halloween for the kids, and it's been a lot of fun. Just really got involved with the haunt scene and the makeup, and I've always loved it, like I said, as a child with my uncle, and it's always been part of the family. It's been a family affair for many years. My uncle still puts on a very big show out in the Fairfield area, so I think he's over there, and I put my little scene on out here, and we always would have a little competition to see who could have the scariest scene. So I worked at Dent last year for about I did 1 season out there, just trying to go to many different places and get a lot of different views on how haunted houses are run and different types of makeup and different experiences, and hopefully have a decent experience coming up this summer. So it's going to be a lot of fun with this group here and doing their makeup and creating some crazy costumes for everybody.
Kirby?
Much along the lines of Jim. Started out scaring my mother, my brother, my cousin. It just kind of grew from there. I had my own home haunt for a couple years. Spent 8 years at Dent, and decided a couple years ago I went out and did some traveling and guest acting, and just fell in love with it. It's just a new experience, and it's something new. You get to go to different places, see how they do it, and try different things. It's just a blast, and the opportunity came to start traveling more, going to do some of those different places, and it's time to do it.
Gypsy?
Mine started out actually as getting back at my sister. When I was younger, my sister thought it was great fun to read me. Mine started out by getting back at my sister, actually, because when I was younger, she thought it was great fun to read me Edgar Allan Poe's bedtime stories. So I started by hiding behind things and scaring her to get back at her. And then I fell in love with it, and then I started working theater and started doing set construction and design and costuming and makeup and all that whatnot. And then met up with some other people from Dent, started working there, and found an even bigger love, which is scaring people. And that's where I met Jim and Kris and everybody else. Yes, everything does come back to you guys. And I wanted to travel. I want to see what else there is out there other than Dent.
Okay. Rebecca?
I'm actually the chicken of the group. I grew up in love with theater. I have a degree in it. And when I came home, I was looking for something, and it was a new way to express myself in a different stage. It took a while to learn how to scare people, because I'm not very creepy. I have a very adorable girl face, and it's a whole different ballgame from being on stage in a theater to being on stage in a haunted house. But I've since learned to love scaring people. I tend to not scream at people because, I'm like pint size. But it's been an adventure, and I spent years working with different people, different haunts, different states, and I think it's time to move on from where I got my start and move on to a different avenue.
Danny?
Hi, I'm Dan. Was born a poor black child. I'm kidding. I'm Steve Martin. I actually kind of fell into it. I had originally started doing security for a charity haunt, Dungeons of Delhi, for I think maybe a couple nights, and then someone ended up calling off, and I had to be a chef. I've never done a chef, let alone a scary chef, so I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But, yeah, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. I became super competitive with other haunters, and just really wanted to kind of step up our game as a haunt as a whole. So I got into set design, scenery, blah blah blah, and that was around I was 14. So I'm now 27, so I've been doing that for a long time. And then, man, how long? I was with Delhi for... I don't remember. Anyway, a long time. And then, of course, made the logical step to kind of out of the minor leagues and into the big leagues with Dent, which, fantastic experience. I got exposed to cue acting, which apparently I found I tend to excel at, yeah, just kind of taking the next logical step, and really just wanting to set sail and see what else is out there in the world. I'll probably hopefully end up guest acting in a couple states this year, so that's cool. I've got that going for me. That's pretty much it, I guess.
Okay, tell me about the group MAUL.
Well, Jason actually came up with the name, and he actually came up with the acronym. We weren't quite sure what it meant at the time, but he came up with the acronym, and we made it work. It was a group effort to decide this. And MAUL, we are a group of traveling actors and comedians.
Dan is the clown of the group.
Which fortunately you cannot see right now.
But MAUL was created out of a need to fill a void. I was actually approached by Jason. Like I might have said earlier, I had plans to do something after I left Dent, but those plans got accelerated, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to handle it. And when I was approached by Jason with the idea, and he said, Jim, it's time to move on. It's time to do something. So I agreed, and I agreed to take the helm of this group. And it was pretty much a consensus that I would lead this group. There was no, I'm the boss and you're going to do things my way. This is a democracy. Everybody's got a say in what we do, and we all just want to have the creative freedom to develop our characters, which was something that was, starting to get stifled, starting to get a little stagnant. People weren't able to flex. You can only flex so much, even when you work in a haunt where they let you develop. You're basically relegated by a certain theme, whether it be Dent or St. Rita's or the Dungeons of Delhi or Netherworld or the Darkness. You've still got certain restrictions you have to follow. Well, with MAUL, you don't have those restrictions. Now, granted, if we go to somebody, if somebody wants to hire us, and we go to their haunt and they need us for a certain type of character, well, of course, we've got to toe the line, and that's why we've got different strengths in this entire group. That's why we've got physical actors, we've got sideshow actors, we've got contortionists, we've got a stilt walker, we've got a fire eater who isn't here today, and I'm going to kick his butt for that. We've got, talented...
Men in kilts.
Yeah, men in kilts.
Oi, oi, oi.
We've got...
It's German, not Scottish. Come on.
We've got a really talented group of people here. And with the freedom that they're allowed, especially with the queue line acting, wherever we may go, it's just everybody's happy. And when we've done a couple of gigs already, and I just watch the smiles on everybody's faces. They're hiding it until they can really, behind the scenes, just let loose and say, yeah, I got this person really good. But I've watched, as I was videotaping, I watched people run from Becca as a bush. I mean, she's just a little creepy contortioning bush, and people were running in fear from this bush.
Well, Becca's just creepy to begin with, so it helps.
And she even scared the owner of Screammakers Court, Ryan Theroff, when he wasn't paying attention. So we had people that saw Wendy's Carrie character and weren't quite sure if she was real or not, and she pulled off the character to a T based on the new movie. And we've got Kris on her stilts there. The guys in the house, Kirby, Zach, Gypsy, they all played the scenes the way they were supposed to, and I saw it in their characters. Everybody really couldn't have made me more proud that night about what they did, and it proved to me that we made the right choice when we chose everybody for this group.
Sorry, it's the Hellhounds.
It's the Hounds of Hell.
Yes.
The Hounds of Hell. We'll be back in a brief moment.
Okay, so really, MAUL is here to help any haunt out there that needs some queue line actors, maybe need a few house actors. Say people call off and they give us at least a couple days notice. If they're going to be short-handed, depending on distance, we can be there to help out. Because sometimes, especially on a weekend, you've got a bunch of people going through your haunt, whether you're big or small. And if you've got all these empty rooms, people aren't going to come back. Or if your queue line is just so boring that people are getting disgruntled while they're waiting to go in, that's what we're here for. We're here to provide a service where we can keep your guests entertained, we can have some fun, and everybody wins.
We're going to do another round table question, but tell me about your established character that you will present when you go to haunted houses. Starting with Jim.
Well, I have two.
Okay.
The unknown character, of course, is my business, and I'm the worst kept secret in the haunt industry. But I love the costume. It's red and black cloaked character. I love it so much I have it tattooed on my forearm. That and the Dean, which is a character I created 3 years ago, actually 4 years ago, at Dent. And he's evolved quite a bit. He started out in a business suit and ended up as a post-apocalyptic zombie military commander with half his face shredded. And I actually love this character. I spent a lot of time in developing it, and I spent a lot of money in creating this militaristic view of the Dean. And quite a few people know who the Dean is. They've seen him. They'll come up and they'll talk to me about him. So I would have to say right now, he is my staple character. I do share that duty sometimes. Every once in a while, Jason will put on the Dean costume because we're pretty much the same size. I'm better looking, but
with the mask on.
Yeah. But Jason has filled in for the Dean at times. I've got some new characters I'm developing this year, 3 new ones, and they're going to be really exciting when they debut them.
Jason.
I've got 2 characters, but I've got several characters in the works. But my very first character was actually Dr. Grimm, which I'm pretty happy with. He was like a post-apocalyptic doctor. I believe he spoke German from what I remember, but I can't remember. And then I also have Chaos the Clown, which is more of a thuggish with a baseball bat clown. Wears a lot of purple and white. Very similar to the character from The Crow, which is one of my favorite movies. So right now, those are my 2 characters as of right now.
Okay, Kris.
I think one thing that's not being said right now is the ability that all of our actors have in this group is to adapt. Mm-hmm. Wherever we go, we'll be able to adapt to the theme. And yes, while we all have our own 2 or 3 specialized characters, we also have the ability of just making a character on the spot to help the theme. But of course, I have 2 main characters with another one in the works as well. One of them is a stilt walker male character, believe it or not. His name is King Voodoo. And then I have a ground-based, 2 stilt-based character called Mysteria. She's very dark and vixenish on the ground, but up on stilts, she becomes like an angel of death type character with Pennywise teeth type and makeup and wild hair and everything. And then the one I've got in the works right now is also stilt based, but it's going to be a 4-legged stilt based, using my arms as well. I haven't quite gotten to the designing stage. I just know that's what I want to do.
Okay. Wendy?
I'm actually the baby of the group, so I really don't have an established character. Talking with Jim and describing what he feels is the best way to approach it, he always said go with your strengths. I happen to have a love for pirates. I've been studying the lore and culture for many years, as it was part of my business and still is part of my side business that I do. So I'm thinking of developing a character along those lines, engulfing the legends, the myths, all the things like that, and maybe turning it into some really cool, paranormal, creepy pirate character. Anything else? I do have a very big love of Carrie. I've been a fan of the movie and the books for years. I would also like to develop a character somewhat like her, but not quite like her, but different and unique in many ways, but something I've always been able to identify with her somehow. I'm not sure why, because I wasn't treated like that in school. But I've always admired what she... It's very sad because even though it is a tragedy of what happens, you always end up rooting for her to hurt these people. And you don't get that in real life very often, to stand up for someone who's going to be hurting somebody. So I think that's a wonderful trait to try to pull into this type of a group and really have some fun with it.
Okay. Zach.
My staple character's name is Slit Castle, and I honestly could probably go on for about 15 to 20 minutes giving you the entire backstory of him, but I don't want to hold up the entire group in this case. But basically, I got the inspiration for him by taking a couple of characteristics of 2, one comic book character, another a horror character, Freddy Krueger being my favorite slasher, and the Punisher being my favorite anti-hero / comic book hero. So it's sort of morphed into an idealistic thing in which he was a soldier in the World War II era, who basically has very similar traits to the Punisher, but he didn't keep it constrained specifically to fighting bad people. Also, as a young child, it was first just killing people. That in World War II, after the war ended, he stayed overseas and started having an affinity for slitting throats. Eventually, it caught up with him. He died, went to the end of the world, but he made a deal with death, so on and so forth, till he got these supernatural powers. Ultimately, the karambit is probably my character's key weapon. It's great. I have an FGX series Cold Steel one that I use. I've gotten a lot of incredible reactions in tight hallways before. Obviously, coming out with the face paint that I have is somewhat, demeaning and scary. My strengths play hard on explosion scares, popping out of nowhere, or creeping up close to somebody when they could still see me, and then doing something unexpected. But my favorite is scraping the knife along the side of the wall. I've gotten many satisfying screams out of that. So that's honestly my main staple character now. He's got a very militaristic look to him. I've got a secondary one, which I've got the story and everything. His name is Fission, which is the fifth horseman of the apocalypse. I have a shield for him. I just got to get some other costuming stuff together for it, and it might come well together. And then, honestly, it's just a matter of setting him loose and seeing how it works. But Slip Castle, basically Frank Castle's father, is my go-to character.
Okay.
For scare.
Wendy?
I really don't do characters. I make the makeup that brings the characters to life and make the masks and props and things like that. That's more of my speciality that I do.
Okay. Kirby?
I guess my signature character, if you want to call him that, would be Master Relic. Very dark, demented, and violent character. He thrives on invading your personal space. He adapts to many different...
Speaking of...
many different scenarios, different scenes, whether it be tight quarters or large open areas. Runs in the shadows, sneaks up on people, explosively scares the shit out of people. Sorry. And then there's another character that comes along. It's also along the lines of the thug clown, Havoc, and they share a lot of similar traits.
Okay.
And there's other characters that are in the works for different situations.
All right. Great. Gypsy?
My main character actually is a non-speaking one. I usually do, zombie or some form of mutilated thing. I mainly do like creep scares. I like getting right up in their face, not saying anything, and just creeping the heck out of people. Because I'll say when I do that character, I don't walk in a straight line. I lurch. I look like I'm about to fall on them. And people don't quite know what to do about it, which is what I love. Because there's so many people who focus on, making them scream, making them collapse. I love doing creep scares. Mm-hmm. And then my second character is kind of the opposite of that. It's in the works. It's a big, humongous, well, at least the hair is, clown that is all, kind of gothic, punk, leather, spikes, clown. Mm-hmm. And not entirely sure where exactly I want to go with her, but I'm having fun creating her, and it should be interesting to see where she ends up.
All right, Rebecca?
As you've already heard, I've been called a bush.
You're the giggle bush.
What happens when you're only 5 foot tall?
Just because you can shove me in a plant, Potter. I can contort my body and I can make it look like I'm disjointed. So one of my characters is a bush, which they dress me up in a ghillie suit, and I sit in a planter, and then I pop up, scare you, walk out of the planter, roll around in the planter. The other one is a doll. Again, it's more of a marionette, controlling the body, like there's somebody that you don't see doing the marionette. So that's pretty much the contortionist side. I also have another character in the works. more of a vindictive fairy clown goth nature sprite, and that one will come at you, scream in your face, giggle, laugh, and that's more in your face character than the other two.
Okay. Danny.
I guess my go-to character is Fatso, the clown. I don't really have a 100% background story with it. It kind of changes depending on whoever I'm lying to at the moment. It kind of allots me some fun. I picked up some partial, not necessarily teaching because it would be legal advice, from a gentleman named Doc Swan, who is out of Pennsylvania, who actually got me started down the sideshow path. And it's actually almost kind of split into two different characters now. I've got Fatso, which I still do the human blockhead piece, but I actually have a full sideshow in the works for the other portion of that as well, along with a few random hillbilly characters. Randy T. Pattersmith, I haven't brought that out in a couple years. I had the Swamp Zombie that I did a couple nights. That was always really fun. It was typically when it was raining. I had plenty of mud to go roll around in.
Wolf Monster.
It was fun. The Thing. No, but Yike. Anyway, so yes, that's me.
All right. To get to my questions here, trying to read my own handwriting. Doesn't always work real well. I'll get to that question. Is there a website which features every member and your business plan? And does any of the other members have websites or Facebooks, pages that people can go to and check out?
Well, as far as the group goes, that's a work in progress right now. Mm-hmm. It will be under the Unknown Scare Actor website once I get the page up. I want to do it right, and I want to make it look really good before it goes online. But currently, people can check us out on our public Facebook page, www.facebook.com/MAUL. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
His page.
No, I'm talking about the public page.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't ready for the test, so I believe it's MAUL Actors. But if you just look in the search bar on Facebook.com, you can just type in MAUL and it'll pop it up.
Right.
Under Actor Services and Production Services.
They can also go to my other business page, which is the Unknown Scare Actor on Facebook. They can get some information there. I've got videos on both pages. And the videos right now, we're going to be producing another one, but this one's just kind of an introductory video of just, you'll see the actors as they look before makeup, after makeup, and doing a quick scare or something in the haunt. So that's how they can, and there's contact information on the Facebook page if anybody is interested in booking our services. They can contact either myself or Jason through Facebook.
Okay. Next question is, if a haunt owner needs a smaller group, like 2 actors, will the owners be able to choose which character, which actor, almost like a menu?
That's my plan. Yeah. We'll provide actor services, whether it's 2 actors or all 10. If the owners get with us and tell us what they want, and if they're looking for a specific character, absolutely. If they want to hire Zach and Kirby, great. If they want to hire Kris and Becca, that's fine too. I mean, we'll work with them to give them what they want. That's what we're in business to do. Give the haunt actor or the haunt owners what they need to complete their attraction.
And just to add into that, there will be a portfolio of characters, complete with headshots, before just the actor, and then the completed character plus the backstory of that character, so that the owners will be able to pick and choose based on what they want, so they can choose which they'd like. And if they don't see a character that we present that they want initially, they are more than welcome to tell me what they're looking for. Oh, yeah.
Because every one of these people is adaptable. Mm-hmm. We can work with them to give them what they need to make their attraction stand out.
Okay. And I guess the last question: if I'm a haunt owner, why should I hire you guys?
That's a very good question, Damien, and I'll tell you. If you were a haunt owner, why should you hire us? Because we set the bar. I mean, every one of these people is a veteran actor with years of experience. And I'm not saying that some people that don't have as much experience aren't just as good or better, but we're reliable, we're dependable, we can give you what you want, and pricing is incredibly reasonable and flexible based on, we base it off the size of the haunt,
how far away it is, what they
what
need,
is involved,
what's involved. And if it's just a small charity haunt, we could be very forgiving. If it's a larger haunt that really needs some fill-in people that are good, we can work with them. We're like I said, we're completely reasonable. Pricing is a sliding scale based on what they're looking for. And I will say this season prices will be even better because we want to come out and show you what we can do. I will say that we already have a couple of bookings already for haunt season, at least 2, and we're going to be available from September until the end of October for any fill-in needs that they may have.
Okay, and I'll do the interview. My last words for anybody that's listening out there: these ladies and gentlemen have been friends of mine for years, and hopefully you're a haunt owner out there and you need some actors. Call these guys. Taylor always uses the words Granny approved. This is Damien Reaper approved. These bunch of ghouls. And thank you for being my first interview, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was our pleasure.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
And check DamienReaper.com. Yes, that's a real website. Rest in Damnation. Meatbags.